So the first witness presented by the defense team, Miles' legal team, his name is Raymond Dragon, and he's an expert witness, and he works in the financial, of evaluation. He has those skills, evaluation skills. Work in the financial field for 25 years. He has master. And MBA and Master in Economics in the University of London. He now works at is it an accounting firm in New York City for 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a head of evaluation service, and he worked in the international bank for acquisition service, international trading, ventures. He has a lot of certifications. So he has all this background, all this knowledge that allowed him to give a testimony from an expert perspective. All this question asked by Mr. Shurik, our defense lawyer, is to prepare, say, oh, this is the witness that we offer as an expert in evaluation, in business evaluation, and then followed by testify for the evaluation of GTV and in April 20th of 2020. This is the main testimony it's on about that. The private placement of GTV at that period of time.
When he talk about those elements of how he evaluate, what goes into his equation of evaluation, right?
Yeah.
Size of market.
Right.
I mean, GTV specifically said later on in the PPN, they're full bullets, right? It's 1.3 goals. It said it's a market of 1.4 billion Chinese. Right? And customers, these are Chinese people and diasporas, millions of Chinese diaspora living across the world, okay? So and look at the product services, it tells us it's actually gonna create news-focused and unique social media that revealing the truth about China. That's a product it's creating, and the other is building an online business and trading platform free of control of the CCP for 1.4 billion Chinese people for their personal and business transaction. And it will be to be the safest platform to advocate for truth, freedom of speech and religion and justice, human rights and democracy in China. And it will serve as a bridge between China and the rest of the Western world, allowing for free and open communication, business transactions and trading uncensored by the Chinese government. So this is the service and products the GTV are actually planning providing. Okay, talk about potential.
Right.
Talk about potential. This is why it has so much potential. That's why it raised successfully, overwhelmingly, exceeding expectation, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, because think about the flip side of it, right? About the CCP censorship. Think about how strong the CCP censorship really is. And then you can begin to get a picture about why the products that GTV provides is so critical.
People want to voice their opinion, but right now they're nailed down and basically covered. Their ears, their eyes, their mouths are covered by the Chinese Communist Party. It's a dictatorship. So this is why, back to your question, I want to add an answer. Because the question is, a startup does not usually have a history. So how does it preventing you do a business evaluation? So that's a question, right? You just raised. The answer is awesome. He actually say, no, there is a whole industry actually do this, because the witness said the venture capitalists is looking for those opportunity for startup, right? At the end, he just kind of summarized it in terms of what the message, why the message you used was valid, and then he said it was the best methodology, looking at the demand of the security for this GTV. $200 million was raised at $1 per share, and it sold 10% as they planned, because initially they only planned to sell 20 million to 200 million. So the upper hand, the limits is 200 million, but they actually sold out the 200 million. Not only that, they exceeding that. Remember, they actually raised altogether close to almost 500 million, 480 million, right? That's where the Miles School mentioned, this is exceeding the expectations. So after consult my lawyer and my financial experts, the GTV seems like it's undervalued. Instead of a 2 billion, it'd probably be 10 billion. That was on June 2nd, 2020, right? So, but this was not indirect. So under the cross, the defense did brought that broadcasting, as I mentioned, June 2nd, 2020, and say, hey, Mr. Dragon, you testified 2 billion, but are you offering any opinions on whether the GTV is worth 10 billion? And he said no, because his task is not asked to do the evaluation in June. Right? And company changes all the time. He said, I only collecting information, do an evaluation based in April 2020. And when you mentioned June, no, I didn't. And I would need a lot of additional information to be able to give you an evaluation, whether I can opine on that or not.
Right, because he has already mentioned a lot of factors you would need to evaluate. So
That's
all those factors could have changed by then.
But you would, go ahead.
And the government pull out the video or the transcript of like other evidence of Miles talk about the GTV shares in 2021 that's goes up to 60 billion, and also in 2021 August 2021 about the value of GTV equals to 48 billion, and then how and also the value of G Fashion in 2020 in July 2020. And this is all after the closing date of the GTV private placement, but then this has nothing to do with the evaluation that this witness did for GTV. So the only time frame he did the evaluation for was let me see here. Only April 2020.
Yeah.
So this is this little window that opened for private placement to come in is this time period, and he only did evaluation and estimated value at that time. A lot of questions regarding G Fashion, the other GTVs.
Himalaya Exchange.
Himalaya Exchange too, and the GTV shares and after April 2020. That's not something he considered. It's a question he never considered in terms of the value of the company, because the value of the company changed with time, so he cannot give that answer.
Right.
What happened after?
But the prosecutor team, the lawyer Ferguson, just did not wanted to quit. He's beating the dead horse again and again and asking questions that he already clearly said, I have no information and I was not asked to do that. It was out of scope of my work. But again, he's just trying. It was of course, it's a failed attempt, but there's a very critical piece of information I want to share with you before we ending this show today, because this witness did mention about, I consider something, it's a weight. Okay, when he evaluated this evaluation and how accurate this evaluation would be, he mentioned about three prompts. It's very important to consider. He said, the first one is the number of shares sold. He said, if I'm evaluating, if only altogether one share sold to one party, then it wouldn't be much value. But here it's 200 million shares sold. It's a very significant. Okay, so that's a factor one. Factor two, it's significant dollar amount. So if you offered the stock at a penny a share, okay, if you sold 200 million, then it's only 2 million. The total investment amount is only 2 million, so it's not a significant. But in this case, again, it's $1 a share. So 200 million would be $200 million, US dollars, and it's significant. Okay, so the third factor is the number of investors. If the investors say it's only 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right, it will be less significant. But in this particular cases, lots of people are interested in investing, and they did their own research independently, and they all come to a conclusion thinking this is a good investment. In this case, there's a 5,000 plus investors, and this is significant.
And the successful fundraising for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that is the key word, is successful fundraising.
Yes.
In this.